The distress call. The morning sun rose over Novaterra's crystalline oceans, casting prismatic rainbows across the colony's biodomes. Commander Elena Vasquez stood at the observation deck of Central Command, sipping her coffee while watching cargo shuttles descend from the monthly supply ship. 10 years she'd served here, and still the beauty of this world took her breath away. "Commander, we're receiving telemetry from the Horizon's Hope," called Lieutenant Kim from the communications station. "All cargo manifests check out. They're requesting final docking clearance." Elena turned from the window, her reflection showing a woman in her 40s with silver threading through dark hair. "Permission granted. Tell Captain Martinez I expect him for dinner tonight." She smiled, remembering how the old freighter captain always brought news from the core worlds. Life on Novaterra epitomized humanity's evolution. Once a species driven by conflict, humans had embraced peace 3 centuries ago. Military forces dissolved, weapons decommissioned, and resources redirected toward exploration and cooperation. The very concept of war seemed archaic, studied only in history classes. "Commander." The urgency in Lieutenant Kim's voice shattered the morning calm. "Long-range sensors are detecting multiple contacts at the system's edge." Elena moved to the sensor station. "Probably just the Altarian trade convoy. They're due this week." Kim shook his head, fingers flying across his console. "Negative. These signatures, they're not in our database. Energy readings are off the charts." A chill ran down Elena's spine. "How many contacts?" 47. "No, 53. Commander, they're multiplying." The main display flickered to life, showing dozens of dark shapes emerging from hyperspace. Unlike the smooth, elegant vessels of known spacefaring races, these ships bristled with angular protrusions and weapon arrays. Their hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Open all hailing frequencies," Elena ordered, her peaceful administrator training fighting against an instinctive fear. "This is Commander Elena Vasquez of Novaterra. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." Static crackled across the speakers. Then a voice like grinding metal. "Xerathi swarm claims this system. Surrender or be consumed." Elena's blood ran cold. First contact protocols hadn't prepared her for this. "We are a peaceful colony. We have no military forces. There's no need for." A beam of crimson energy lanced from the lead ship, vaporizing a communications satellite. The message was clear. "Sound the evacuation alarm." Elena commanded. "Get everyone to the emergency shelters." Klaxons wailed throughout the colony as citizens ran for underground bunkers. Parents clutched children, scientists abandoned experiments, and automated systems sealed biodomes. Novaterra's limited defensive grid activated, but Elena knew the truth. They were woefully unprepared. "Deploying defense drones," reported Security Chief Rodriguez. "But Commander, there's civilian models, shield generators, asteroid deflectors. They won't last against military-grade weapons." Elena watched helplessly as the Xerathi fleet advanced. Their first volley obliterated the defense drones like paper in a hurricane. The supply ship Horizon's Hope tried to flee but was caught in a tractor beam and torn apart. "We need options," Elena said, her mind racing. "There has to be something in the colonial charter, some emergency protocol." "Wait." Dr. Yuki Chen, the colony's historian, burst into the command center. "During the geological survey last month, we found something. An ancient military installation, pre-peace era. It was supposed to be studied and cataloged. But where?" Elena demanded. "Northern mountain range, beneath Mount Prometheus. The entrance was sealed, but..." Another explosion rocked the colony as the Xerathi began orbital bombardment. Elena made her decision. "Dr. Chen, Rodriguez, you're with me. Kim, maintain command here. If we don't return in 30 minutes, initiate final evacuation protocols." The 3 raced to an emergency shuttle. As they lifted off, Elena saw the Xerathi ships positioning themselves around the planet. Their weapons glowed with building energy, preparing for systematic destruction. The shuttle screamed through the atmosphere, dodging energy blasts. Mount Prometheus loomed ahead, its peak shrouded in perpetual clouds. Dr. Chen guided them to a hidden valley where ancient blast doors were embedded in the mountainside. The seals still intact, Chen noted as they landed. "We'll need." Rodriguez was already attaching plasma charges. "Stand back." The explosion revealed a tunnel leading into darkness. Emergency lights flickered to life, illuminating corridors that hadn't seen human presence in centuries. Dust covered everything, but the construction was unmistakably military. Reinforced walls, security checkpoints, warning signs in multiple languages. They descended deeper, following faded arrows marked Command Center. The air grew stale, recycled by systems running on minimal power. Finally, they reached a massive door bearing the insignia of Earth's long-dissolved defense force. Inside, holographic displays sputtered to life at their approach. The room was dominated by a central console covered in dust. As Elena wiped it clean, she revealed an inscription. "Project Titan. Final Safeguard." "Look at this," Chen whispered, examining a nearby terminal. "It's a complete military archive. Warship schematics, combat protocols, weapons systems, everything humanity chose to forget." Rodriguez found what they needed. A red panel marked emergency activation. Inside was a single lever labeled Protocol Titan, authorized personnel only. "This could be our only chance," Elena said. Above them, the mountain shook from orbital strikes. Reports flooded her communicator. Shields failing, casualties mounting, Terethi ground forces preparing to land. She gripped the lever. Humanity had chosen peace, but their ancestors had been warriors. They'd conquered the stars, faced existential threats, and emerged victorious. That legacy had been buried, not destroyed. Command authorization. Vasquez, Elena. Colony Administrator, Novaterra. Activation code, Omega Emergency. The lever moved with surprising ease. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, deep beneath their feet, ancient generators roared to life. Power surged through dormant systems. Screens blazed with data as quantum communications arrays reached across the galaxy. A synthesized voice echoed through the chamber. Protocol Titan activated, transmitting emergency signal to all safeguard installations. Warning: this action will revive military assets deemed hazardous to galactic peace. Confirm activation. Elena looked at her companions. Chen nodded grimly. Rodriguez's face was set with determination. Outside, their world burned. Confirmed, Elena stated. The mountain itself seemed to pulse with energy. Somewhere in deep space, on dead moons and forgotten asteroids, in hidden bunkers and camouflage stations, ancient systems detected the signal. Codes that hadn't been transmitted in 3 centuries verified authentic distress. The voice spoke again. Signal acknowledged by Safeguard Prime. Titan core revival initiated. Estimated response time: 15 minutes. Commander Vasquez, prepare for military handover protocols. Military handover? Elena asked. To whom? To those who never truly left, the voice replied. The Guardians sleep, but they do not forget. Above Novaterra, the Exerethi commander noted energy spikes from the planet's surface. No matter, these peaceful humans had no weapons worth fearing. The invasion would proceed as planned. It would be the last mistake the Exerethi ever made. For in the depths of space, Titans were awakening, warriors from humanity's violent past, preserved against the day when peace might fail. They had slept for centuries, but now they heard the call. And they were coming. As Elena watched the countdown timer on the ancient display, she realized that everything was about to change. The galaxy had forgotten why humanity chose peace, because the alternative was too terrible to contemplate. The Exerethi were about to receive a history lesson. The awakening. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, in a facility that officially didn't exist. Warning lights pierced 3 centuries of darkness. Cryogenic pods lined the vast chamber like soldiers at attention, each containing a warrior from humanity's martial past. At the center pod, frost began to melt as resurrection protocols engage. Captain James Hawthorne's eyes snapped open. His first breath burned like fire as his lungs remembered their function. Military-grade stimulants flooded his bloodstream, countering the effects of prolonged stasis. Memories cascaded through his mind. The wars, the peace treaties, the decision to become humanity's sleeping sword. "Status report," he commanded, his voice hoarse but authoritative. "Welcome back, Captain," replied Atlas, the facility's eye. "You have been in stasis for 327 years. Protocol Titan has been activated. Authenticated distress signal received from Novaterra colony. Xerathi invasion force detected." Hawthorne stepped from his pod, muscles protesting. Around him, his Titan Corps were awakening. 500 of humanity's finest warriors, volunteers who'd chosen to sleep through peace, ready to wake for war. Xerathi. Hawthorne accessed the tactical feed as he donned his command suit. New species, affirmative. Insectoid hive mind civilization. Highly aggressive expansion pattern. They've conquered 17 systems in the past decade. Lieutenant Sarah Kovacs approached, already in full combat gear. "Sir, all personnel accounted for. The fleet's powering up. We'll be combat ready in 10. Hawthorne nodded, studying the invasion data. They think they're facing civilians. They're about to learn why the galaxy made peace with humanity. The lunar facility's massive doors opened, revealing rows of warships that hadn't seen starlight in centuries. The Retribution, Hawthorne's flagship, dominated the hangar, a kilometer-long dreadnought bristling with weapons that modern humans considered barbaric. As they boarded, Dr. Marcus Webb, the team's physicist, briefed them on temporal adjustment. "The galaxy's changed, Captain. Humans are pacifists now. Universal translators, faster than light communication. Energy weapons, all refined, but military applications abandoned." "And our enemies?" Hawthorne asked. "Varied. Some species remained militant, but none match our historical capabilities. The Xerathi appear to be the first serious threat in generations." The Retribution's bridge came alive as Hawthorne took command. Holographic displays showed fleet status: 15 dreadnoughts, 30 cruisers, and 50 destroyers, all awakening from their long sleep. Navigation. Plot course for Novaterra. Maximum burn. "Sir," Kovacs reported, "we're receiving confused transmissions from Earth Command. They're demanding identification." Hawthorne smiled grimly. "Open a channel." A hologram materialized, a young officer in a crisp uniform devoid of military decorations. "Unidentified vessels, you're violating restricted space. Power down immediately." "This is Captain James Hawthorne, Titan Corps, authorization Omega-77. We're responding to Protocol Titan activation. Stand down." The officer's face paled. That's impossible. The Titan Corps is a myth. Check your history files, son. We're very real, and we have work to do." As the fleet departed lunar orbit, Hawthorne addressed his crew. "For 3 centuries, humanity has known peace. Our descendants chose a better path: cooperation over conquest, understanding over destruction. We honored that choice by sleeping, by removing ourselves from their peaceful world. But we made a promise. If that peace was threatened, we would wake. Today, we keep that promise." The journey to Novaterra pushed their drives to maximum. During transit, Hawthorne studied modern human society through historical databases. What he found both impressed and concerned him. Humanity had achieved wonders, cured diseases, colonized worlds, made friends among the stars. But they'd also lost something: the warrior spirit that had ensured their survival. "Approaching Novaterra system," announced the navigator. Xerathi fleet detected. They're numerous. The main display showed the full scope of the invasion: Hundreds of Exarathi ships surrounded Novaterra like locusts. The colony's pitiful defenses were failing, bombardment continuing relentlessly. "Sir," Kovacs said quietly, "colonial casualties estimated at 30% and rising." Rage, cold and focused, filled Hawthorne. "Battle stations. Deploy in hammer formation. Target their command ships." The Titan fleet exploded from hyperspace like avenging angels. Exarathi sensors screamed warnings as massive human warships materialized. For the first time in centuries, humanity's true military might was revealed. Exarathi Commander hailing reported communications. On screen, a creature appeared, insectoid, multifaceted eyes glittering with malice. "More human ships. You delay the inevitable. Surrender." Hawthorne cut transmission and gave the order. "All ships, fire at will." Space itself seemed to burn as the Titan fleet unleashed its arsenal. Weapons designed to crack planets and shatter fleets roared to life. Exarathi ships, built to overwhelm peaceful colonies, crumpled like tin under the onslaught. The Retribution's main cannon, a weapon so powerful it had been banned by 12 separate treaties, fired. The beam carved through 3 Exarathi dreadnoughts before they could react. Secondary batteries eliminated dozens of smaller craft. "They're trying to retreat," Kovacs reported. "Negative," Hawthorne ordered. "Hunter Squadron, disable their engines. Nothing leaves this system." On Novaterra's surface, Elena Vasquez watched in awe as the tide turned. Ships bearing ancient Earth symbols she'd only seen in museums decimated the Exarathi fleet with terrifying efficiency. These weren't the surgical strikes of modern warfare. This was annihilation. The Exarathi, realizing their mistake too late, attempted desperate tactics. Suicide runs, ramming maneuvers, mass fighter deployments, all failed against the Titan's superior firepower and battle-hardened tactics. Within an hour, the invasion fleet was reduced to drifting wreckage. The few survivors were herded into containment zones, their weapons systems destroyed. Hawthorne opened a channel to Novaterra. "Colony Command, this is Captain Hawthorne of the Titan Corps. The immediate threat has been neutralized. Requesting permission to land and coordinate relief efforts." Elena's voice came through, shaky but grateful. "Permission granted, Captain. And thank you." As Titan dropships descended to the wounded colony, Hawthorne knew their work was just beginning. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's martial prowess, but the Exarathi would spread word of what happened here. The peaceful era wasn't over, but it would need guardians. The Titans had awakened, and they would not sleep again until humanity's future was secure. Standing on Novaterra's soil for the first time, Hawthorne looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Exarathi Empire was learning that humans hadn't abandoned war. They'd mastered it so completely that they chose peace instead. It was a lesson the galaxy wouldn't soon forget. Titans reborn. The Exarathi Empire's throne world buzzed with panic. In the Great Hive Chamber, the Supreme Overmind processed reports of the Novaterra disaster through countless drone mines. What should have been another simple conquest had become the Empire's greatest defeat in millennia. "Explain," the Overmind commanded, its psychic voice resonating through every Exarathi present. "How did peaceful humans destroy our invasion fleet?" Scout Commander Zixtal trembled. "Great Overmind. They awakened something ancient. Warriors from their past. Ships and weapons beyond our comprehension." The Overmind's compound eyes narrowed. "Show me." Holographic recordings played. The Titan fleet emerging from hyperspace, the devastating firepower, the ruthless efficiency. The Overmind recoiled as understanding dawned. They hadn't faced modern humans. They'd awakened humanity's buried demons. Back on Novaterra, Captain Hawthorne stood in the colony's council chamber, facing a gathering of civilian leaders and his own officers. Elena Vasquez presided over the meeting, her administrative uniform contrasting sharply with the military dress of the Titan Corps. "Captain," Elena began, "while we're grateful for your intervention, we need to discuss the future." The galaxy has known peace for 3 centuries. Your presence, your methods, they could destabilize everything we've built." Hawthorne nodded. "I understand your concerns, Administrator, but the Exorethi attack proves that peace without the ability to defend it is just postponed surrender." Dr. Chen spoke up. "Captain, may I ask why? Why did humanity bury such power instead of destroying it?" Hawthorne's eyes grew distant. "Because we knew ourselves too well. Humanity didn't choose peace from weakness, but from strength. We'd conquered our sector of the galaxy, defeated every threat, but we saw what we were becoming, an empire built on fear and violence. So we made a choice." He activated a holographic display showing historical records. Project Titan wasn't just about hiding weapons. It was about preserving the warrior spirit without letting it dominate our society. We volunteers chose to sleep so humanity could evolve beyond war, knowing we'd wake if that evolution was threatened. Lieutenant Kovacs added, "The galaxy forgot why they made peace with humanity. They needed a reminder." Elena leaned forward. "And now, will you return to sleep?" "No," Hawthorne replied firmly. "The Exorethi attack is a symptom, not the disease. While humanity pursued peace, others prepared for war. We'll adapt our role, not as conquerors, but as guardians." Over the following weeks, the Titan Corps worked with colonial authorities to rebuild Nova Terra. Their advanced technology, designed for destruction, proved equally capable of construction. Force fields became protective domes, weapon systems were repurposed for asteroid defense, and military-grade fabricators produced civilian infrastructure. But the larger galaxy couldn't ignore what had happened. Diplomatic vessels from dozens of species arrived, seeking answers. Some came in fear, others in curiosity, and a few with thinly veiled threats. The Altarian ambassador, a being of pure energy, addressed Hawthorne directly. "The return of human military power concerns many. How can we trust you won't become the conquerors your ancestors were?" Hawthorne gestured to the rebuilt colony around them. "Because we choose not to. Power doesn't corrupt. The inability to relinquish it does. We're not here to rule, but to ensure that others can't impose rule through force." Meanwhile, the Exorethi Empire faced internal collapse. News of their defeat spread, emboldening rebellion in conquered systems. Their expansion halted as resources were diverted to maintaining control. The Supreme Overmind, desperate to salvage the situation, made a fateful decision. "Prepare the World Eater fleet. If we cannot conquer humanity, we will exterminate them." Long-range sensors detected the massive Exorethi armada. Thousands of ships, including planet-killer-class vessels, moving toward human space. This wasn't an invasion force. It was an extinction fleet. Hawthorne convened his senior staff. "They're coming with everything they have. If they reach inhabited systems, billions will die. We can't be everywhere at once," Kovacs pointed out. "Even our full fleet can't cover all human colonies." "Then we don't defend," Hawthorne decided. "We attack. Take the fight to them before they can disperse." The Titan fleet, now supplemented by volunteers from modern humanity who chose to learn the old ways, prepared for what might be their final battle. As they departed, Elena Vasquez made an unexpected request. "Take me with you," she said. "If this is humanity's fight, I should be there." Hawthorne studied her. "This won't be like Nova Terra. This is total war." "I know, but someone needs to witness it, to ensure we remember why we chose peace." The Battle of the Void, as it came to be known, was the largest space engagement in recorded history. The Titan fleet, outnumbered 50-1, employed tactics that hadn't been seen in centuries. They used gravitational slingshots around gas giants for surprise attacks, turned asteroid fields into impromptu minefields, and baited Exorethi forces into kill zones. The engagement lasted 3 days. The Retribution led charge after charge, its ancient armor withstanding bombardments that would have vaporized modern ships. Hawthorne commanded with brilliant brutality, sacrificing ships when necessary, exploiting every weakness in Sarathi doctrine. On the bridge, Elena watched in horrified fascination as humanity's martial legacy unfolded. She saw why their ancestors had chosen to abandon this path, not from fear of others, but fear of themselves. The turning point came when Hawthorne executed the Prometheus Gambit, a maneuver so dangerous it had been theoretical even in his time. The Titan fleet formed a gravitational lens using their drives, focusing the energy of a nearby star into a beam that carved through the Exarathi formation. As their fleet burned, the Supreme Overmind broadcast a final message. We surrender. We yield to human dominion. Hawthorne's response was broadcast across all frequencies. Humanity doesn't seek dominion. We seek peace, but peace through strength, not submission. Return to your worlds. Rebuild. Trade with us. Learn from us. Grow with us. But never again mistake our choice for peace as an inability to wage war. In the aftermath, the galaxy entered a new era. The Titan courts established guardian stations throughout human space, not as occupiers, but as protectors. They trained new generations in the old ways while emphasizing the values that led humanity to choose peace. Elena Vasquez became the liaison between the Titans and civilian government, ensuring that military power remained subservient to democratic ideals. Museums were updated to show not just humanity's peaceful achievements, but the martial history that made them possible. Years later, Hawthorne stood with Elena on Novaterra's observation deck, watching civilian and military vessels work side by side. "Do you regret it?" Elena asked, waking up to a galaxy that had moved beyond war. Hawthorne smiled. "No, we didn't wake to bring war back. We woke to preserve the peace our descendants chose. That's worth any sacrifice." Above them, stars twinkled, each a reminder of humanity's journey from warriors to peacemakers, and their willingness to be warriors again when peace was threatened. The Titans had returned not to conquer, but to guard. Not to rule, but to serve. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or ships, but its ability to choose, to be warriors when necessary, peacemakers when possible, and guardians always. And in the depths of space, the Titans stood watch, ensuring that humanity's children could continue to reach for the stars in peace.